been with William Grant since April of '99. So I think they call me a lifer. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm getting out anytime soon, but I love the company and I love the brands. And I think two of those things are very important anytime you're selling anything. And I'm part of a commercial side of the business. The other part of the business that you have to love is the people you work with. And we're a small company. We're not yet that big monster out there. I know there's a lot of businesses out here doing what William Grant probably tried to do years and years ago. And that's the idea of being agile, nimble, and always entrepreneurial. And that's what I love about this business, and that's what I love about the people in our business. They're hustlers. Nobody in our business ever mails it in. It's an American expression, I think, even though, if you haven't heard already, I'm not exactly from Brooklyn. I actually grew up in the southwest of Ireland. I just happen to live over there. But nobody mails it in to our company. It's that strong effort every day. And you can always call bullshit on people who don't. If the organization if people are working hard, Scott mentioned about that sort of everybody coming in together. It's a team. So let me take you through a story. Irish people, I think, are very good at telling stories. So mine is a story. I'm no expert. I have not been trained in building teams, not by any long shot. But I actually physically and literally did it about 2 years ago in a project at William Grant where I knew our business had to change. This slide here talks about some of the challenges our business is facing in the US. We're facing an awful lot of headwind. We're talking about marijuana and sort of marijuana coming into our culture, putting a lot of pressure on the liquor industry. We have a consolidation of our distributor network. There's less distributors to work with, so they're harder to work with in some ways. Millennial mindset, the way consumers are changing behavior. There's a clutter or proliferation of younger brands that are causing us a lot of headaches. Even things like menus becoming more and more generic in the way they're listing them. So nobody's referencing brand anymore. So every time you turn, this business gets tougher every day. So it forces you to work faster, better, and smarter than anybody else. This slide is fairly simple. We had to make a choice at the time. How do you remain best in class on-premise? How do you remain the trusted advisors to the on-premise? And that's what we are. We're consultants. We're unpaid consultants to our clients, our customers, which are the bars and bartenders. We had to move away from an agency control. At the time, our on-premise was largely managed by an agency. So we had 32 or 34 people directly contacting a lot of agents, bartenders on our behalf. And that's not always the best way to do it, because there's a lot of transience in terms of people moving. They don't really bleed as much as I bleed when you cut me. I'm totally William Grant. So it was never the best approach. So we had to move from an agency approach to an internal resource. And also in terms of working together. We have a very strong advocacy team in William Grant. If anybody knows William Grant, they have probably one of the strongest ambassador teams in the industry. But when teams are moving apart in different directions, it's quite a problem. If you have a commercial organization that's driving to get to a number, and they're looking at December 31 as their cutoff date, versus an advocacy team whose job is to build brand equity or build brands of long-term enduring fame. These are words a little too corporate maybe, but they are what we do. We have people going apart. It's never a healthy thing, so we had a choice to make. And what we had to do was find the right balance. It's about that tension between getting to a number and a tension between building and doing things the right way. And it really is an interesting struggle, tug of war, when people inside an organization are clashing internally. And that's what we were facing at the time, which, again, as you're there 21 years, you kind of feel it. You don't like it, but you have to do something about it. So what we did, and this is, again, what our choice was at the time, we had to kind of look at our business and said, what's going to keep us mostly competitive? And this here behind me is the kind of relationship or the type of chameleon that we wanted from our people. Influencers, relationship builders, people who are still commercially savvy, people who are creative in their thinking and had a good energy. I think anytime you build a team, you have to lead by example. And I don't know if you get it from me right away, but I'm kind of crazy. I run fast. I move fast. And you have to be a teacher. So what we were doing was always building it up. And this is exactly, we wanted experts in on-premise impact. And the job, the way we defined it at the time, was building brands, but at the same time delivering against our commercial goals. Because you have to get paid. The business needs to get paid. So that was what we were trying to do. These are three key components. Alignment. Again, as I talked about a few seconds ago, if teams are pulling apart, you're going to get in trouble. So everybody has to know why we wake up in the morning. What are the most important things in the business? What are the things that drive, the profit, sadly, again. But at the same time, not to lose sight of the equity. We have maybe 13, 14 brands in our portfolio. 5 of them make up about 80 to 85% of our profit. So again, if you're waking up thinking about the wrong thing, you're going to get yourself in trouble. And we were doing it, by the way. There were times that certain brands were driving way too much focus, and the engines of the business were not driving enough focus. So when you get 32 people, which we hired, all pulling together as one, it becomes quite powerful. One of the brands that benefited greatly from that was Monkey Shoulder. When all of a sudden we started puddling together, as opposed to this person doing that, this person doing that, it's mind-boggling. You have to have shared common goals. Shared, even the way we describe things in terms of language. I can't be saying something to someone that lives in Seattle, Washington, and it means something completely different to some person living in Miami. Everybody has to understand why we wake up in the morning. In terms of motivation, and I agree in terms of like the appraisal process and things like that, it's crazy if you have an annual appraisal process and you don't tell people during the course of their year, you know, that comment you made actually, Scott, about people getting fired and wondering why the hell it happened, that's not healthy. You have to be constantly talking to people so there's no surprises. I don't like appraisal processes. I don't, personally. I think they're useless in today's world. But I do want regular check-ins with people. So again, if everybody understands the culture of the business, and again, William Grant is still a family business. We're not a big company. I need you to know what this means to us and to the family shareholders. So you have to understand the purpose. We have to give people training. And the training isn't a one and done. It's constant. You're constantly informing people about the changes. You have to involve people in the process. These people are the eyes and ears and the pulse of the business. And actually they have more intelligence at the sharp end of the business than anybody like me, who's an old fuddy-duddy now. These people know more about what's going on. They see these future trends. You got to involve them in the building out of programs or anything we're doing. The next line for me is super important. This idea of freedom to win. It's a very sort of used term in our business. I actually like people who have the freedom to lose, to get it wrong. As long as you're not making any stupid mistakes or reckless behavior, and you have the integrity of the brand you're working on in mind, I think I should give you permission to make a few mistakes. And I love that about it. Freedom to lose. Competition's always really important. If you don't think people are sort of hungry to be better than the guy beside them or the girl beside them, you're crazy. Everybody wants that pedestal, and you should provide them with that pedestal. We do a couple of programs internally, things like Road to Dufftown, which we send people behind the scenes of our distilleries in Scotland. They will jump over through a burning building to get to that reward. And then in terms of benefits, bonus, Scott mentioned it as well. The thing I like about that is the internal PR. Everybody would like that pedestal to talk about it. Certainly in an organization like ours. We're not that big, but you can get lost. So I want people to stand up and be recognized, and I think it's a very important thing. The last thing I want to talk about is the idea of managing different people, generational, which is absolutely, I won't call it nightmarish, but it's hard work. Because you've got a different mindset now. You're bringing people into your business that are not from probably the management's age group or mindset. These people are less likely to be bothered by authority. They don't care as much, which is a beautiful thing. Actually, I'm the dad of 3 millennial children. I know I look young, but they're 21, 23, 25, and absolutely knowing what they're all about has helped me a lot. They want to be heard. You have to keep constantly talk to them and seek feedback. They want results and they want reward. Anybody who tells you that millennials are actually lazy or millennials get a lot of hard shit. It's not fair. Actually, I think they're one of the most conscientious, hardworking groups of people ever. But you have to be mindful because they want immediate reward and they're quite nomadic. And the worst thing you can do, which we did when we had an agency in our business, is constant churn. Because you always have to retrain people. You want to hold on to your talent. If one or two people leave, it's okay. I hate to say it like that, but it's okay. You can survive that. But if there's a constant rotation of, you're just back to ground one, it becomes Groundhog Day. You're constantly just having to redo it all again. So for me, in terms of building team, and I hope I gave you something about the journey we went on, these were really the payoffs for us. Retention and motivating people the right way, that you do become the trusted advisor to the on-premise, and you actually give them the tools to be able to be that, you will increase sales. Just from various tactics you do, whether it's proper, well-written KPIs, and we can talk about KPIs. KPIs have to be really beautifully written. So Charlotte's KPIs are relatively the same as my KPIs, so we're going like this as opposed to that. And the last thing is about just, I think what we're all in it for is strengthening the partnerships that we have with our customers, and that's what it is. We are those trusted advisors. So that's, Robin, I'm pretty much done.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you.